Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ron Wheeler. I want to welcome you all to our presentation today called How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week, or as I like to refer to it as the Options Paycheck Experience intro class. Do me one big favor. If you guys can hear my voice, if you can see my screen, it should say unair, and actually you should see my picture right up here in the upper left-hand corner. I'm doing this class live, of course. It is in Ohio, so I'm actually, if you guys can look in the background, it's my home office. Hopefully my kids don't come screaming by here and as they do sometimes. So, all right, good deal. I see Thomas, you're saying yep. Casey, Mark, Anthony, awesome. Looks like the early return so far. Got a couple people saying that they can hear me. Again, I know it's early. We just opened up the room and we're still about 3 or 4 minutes away from the official launch of our class. So just kind of chime in there when you can hear my voice. If you can see that screen that says on air, I do appreciate it. That way I know that everything's working. Doug, Karen, Chris, excellent. And then do me a favor. What time is it by you? I'm here in Ohio, and as I always like to do, I always put my phone up there and say, see, it's 4:27 on Thursday, October 19th. I'm actually, like I said, I'm in Ohio. VectorVest has two offices. We have an Ohio office, and we have an office down in North Carolina. So two of my colleagues, John and Todd, are here today. They're in North Carolina, and I am in our Ohio office. I'm the only education guy up here in Ohio. Kind of happy about that. Well, I'm not happy about that. I wish I could see my colleagues down there more often, but I'm born and raised Ohioan, so it's always nice. Chris, you mentioned 1:30, 3:30 in Northwest Florida. Awesome. 4:30 Casey, 1:30 James, 4:30 in Ontario, Karen. Awesome. 4:30 a.m. Wow, Kingsley. Kingsley, I know you. I know you. I think we've worked together before. All right. So good, good. I see lots of folks also in this East time frame with me as well. Brian, 4:30 in New York, 3:30 Houston. Doug. All right, awesome. Good to have all of you across the world. It's always fun to see where people are from because, you know, I've been doing this for so long, and it's nice to not have to get on an airplane and travel anymore. So it's always kind of cool. All right. While we're kind of waiting for that 4:30 start time to roll around, just one more question for you. What do you do for a living? Are you retired? Do you still work? I'm just curious. I always kind of like to get an idea of what everybody does. I originally designed the principles behind this idea of one option trade per week. I originally designed this for a retiree that was looking for extra income. But, I found over the years that, I've had clients that I've worked with from 14 years old, I think was my youngest student, all the way up into the 90s. And I've worked with a great section of people. It's been an awesome experience these last 8 years here with VectorVest. All right, retired Brian, Andrew, and Rose, James happily retired. Thomas retired 15 years. Awesome. Oh, and I see Noski earlier, 21:30 in London. Awesome. Okay, so we got people all over. So we got someone from like 4:30 in the morning. Nice, and a lot of retirees. And then retired but still working and trying to keep the level of living from trading. I like it. That's one thing that early in my career, I kind of took a detour. My original job was in IT, and I worked for a Fortune 500 company in IT after I got out of college, and I decided to give up. I didn't give up IT. I still stayed in IT, but I decided to give up that Fortune 500 life for a small company here in Ohio that did trading software algorithms, and I worked in IT there. And because I was reading about trying to do it from trading, and I remember talking to my dad about this. This is back in like 1996, and he's like, well, it's IT is IT. I said, but Dad, on the Fortune 500 company, I got all this stuff I can do, and I can, go up and, reach all kinds of corporate levels. But, this small company does all this trading stuff. It's interesting. And he's like, well, you have to ask yourself what question, if you want to stay in IT, that's great, but what's going to have better potential? Learning everything there is to know about the shipping industry, because I worked for a shipping company, that Fortune 500 shipping company. He's like, or are you going to learn about investing and trading from a smaller company and, venture into that? And I said, it's a good question. So I decided to actually leave a big company where I had stock options and all kinds of great stuff. And I went into the trading side of things. And I'm happy. I transitioned from IT into, the trading idea, and it's been such a great choice. And I'm glad I've got that trading experience because it's really led me to where I am today. And it's really led me to a life skill that I have that I can create profits and trading from, or profits and income from trading. It's great. So, like I said, just kind of wanted to share that with you as I saw, working on trading to kind of keep up the lifestyle. It's been, I know that I've been there. All right. Well, anyway, let's do this. It's 4:30, so let's officially get started. We are here today again for, and let me get my screen all shined up here. We are here today again for our webinar called The Options Paycheck Experience, How to Generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. Now, I'm going to be showing you the system that I've developed here at VectorVest to generate income in any type of market condition. And the information I'm going to share with you has not only changed my life, but I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In this webinar, I'm going to show you how you can begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per month or more. Now, this figure is based on the fact that our portfolio and most of our clients are generating on average 3% per month. And that's using our most basic income strategy. And keep in mind, you can do it. Doesn't matter if the market's bullish or bearish. I've been doing this for 15 plus years on the option side on my own, 8 years with VectorVest. I've traded through bull markets, bear markets, all kinds of stuff, and it doesn't really matter. Direction, up or down, is irrelevant. I've taught this to people that have had little or no experience with trading or options. This is safer than simply going out there and buying or selling stocks. And it's something that you can implement very, very quickly. Now, if I were in your shoes, you might be thinking, hey, this sounds too good to be true. Is it legit? Well, it's valid. I see the Instagram people out there pumping the next greatest crypto thing or whatever, millions of dollars. Listen, I'm not like that. I want to let the results stand for themselves and ultimately let you decide. So I mentioned one trade per week. This here is a 6.5 year run of our most simple trading strategy based on the S&P 500 index. If you started back in 2016 with a $5,000 account, you'd have over $17,000 in profits right now. That means your account that was started at $5 would now be worth $22,000. It's 350% return in 6.5 years. Okay, an average of 4.4% per month. Now listen, you can trade larger accounts too. The percentages would still ultimately be the same. Now, one important thing that I want to note here is that you notice it doesn't always go up. There's going to be periods like this right here where it went kind of sideways for a while. We had a little nasty drawdown right there. We had a little bit of area right here over about 6 months where it kind of went sideways. That's what real trading is. That's what a real system does. There's nothing out there that just does this. If you ever see something that just does that, recognize it as fraud because it's not how it works. There's going to be periods of drawdown or sideways, but over the time, the account will continue to grow. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. These are real people, just like you. And as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find that you're in a very similar position now as they were when they started. I mentioned earlier, my name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the manager of options trading here at VectorVest. I've been trading now since 1997. I first started back then. And when I started trading commodities and futures. I was a day trader. And like a lot of people, I didn't just walk into trading and become successful. I had to pay my dues as well, even though I had some of the best traders in the country right, across the hall from me. I still had to pay my dues. And why do you have to pay your dues? Why does trading have to always sometimes have a hurdle? Well, trading's not easy. Investing is not easy. Number one, you got to learn how to pick direction. I need to know if a stock or a commodity or a future, whatever you're trading, is it going to go up? If it's going to go up, great, I got to buy it. If it doesn't go up, I don't make any money. If I think something's going to go down, I can sell it. If it doesn't go down, I don't make money. That's the biggest hurdle. Then the second part of that is, well, okay, great. Now I got to make sure that if I'm getting market direction good, how are my winning trades doing versus my losing trades? Am I making 60% winners and only making $100 on the winner? and my 40% of my losers are losing $500 a piece, I'm not going to make any money doing that. So trading is that delicate balance between being right and then also controlling risk. Well, I was never really an options person when I first started trading. I didn't like options. Options to me, and I'll explain kind of why as we go through the presentation. But options were never something I really enjoyed or I really liked. Well, about 5 years into my career, one of the clients that our company had, who was a hedge fund trader actually in the Midwest, he came into our office. He was visiting from out of town. He wanted to meet all of us. So he came in and he was talking to me about options. And he said, Ron, I know you're not an options person. We've talked about this before. He's like, but let me show you kind of like the institutional approach to options. And he told me about a methodology of selling options where he could take some of the direction out of the picture. Meaning that if he thinks a market will go up or a stock will go up or a commodity will go up, he can place an options trade where even if it doesn't go up, he can still make money. So he's taking some of the direction out of it. Then he also showed me using a spread how he could limit his risk on the trade. He could go into the trade knowing exactly how much he loses, exactly how much he's going to make, and he can control that right from the very beginning. Those are the two biggest hurdles of traders. And I was never exposed to options in that way. So I was already trading at that point commodities and doing pretty well at it, but I kind of started, doing some of that, kind of testing it, kind of, trial and erroring it. And I found that I was really starting to like the option side as well. And after about a decade of day trading, I finally switched over and started doing more options trade. And here I am like 15 years, well, actually 27 years later, and I trade nothing but options now. I've stopped day trading, I stopped doing all that stuff, and I do nothing but options. And what I'm going to show you today is really how I do 99% of my trades. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be complex. It's very easy. Okay? So on the journey today, I'm going to take you kind of like on the journey that I took when I first started transitioning to options. I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you case studies, an example of our clients who are doing this in our system, so that if you learn and follow the strategy, you can do the same. I'm also going to prove to you that our options paycheck system will get better returns safer than just simply trading stocks or options alone. And I want you to stay with me till the end. I put together a nice little checklist for you in PDF form. We're going to drop it right into the handout section. You can print it right out and remind me when we get to the Q&A, because at the end, I sometimes forget. So just remind me at the end, say, hey, Ron, what about that checklist you told us about? And we'll pop it right into that handout box. Now, why is this such an important topic? Well, without income or an income system, it's on you. And that creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, this can have a big impact on our life, our health, and our relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you could fill it, especially with all the inflation and craziness that we've seen over the past couple of years, right? If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You're going to get behind on your goals and maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. Now, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably one of the most important points of the webinar. So pay attention to this and even write it down. In order to be financially free, your main need is income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments that'll cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say it again. In order to become financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is really one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Kind of, what I was talking to you guys earlier about where, I made that veer in my career to learn about trading. And when you have the ability to generate income and profits from your investments, things are going to change. It's like a consistent source of income that you can turn on when you need it. If you're working like I still am, it's like having a second job to increase my earning capacity. If you're retired, it's like you keep your job, but you don't work anymore. That's going to help you do the things you want to do now and when you retire. If you're still working, it can help you retire younger. So I said again, this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it one more time. When the income from your investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. Now, Bruce is a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Brian had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using our options paycheck methodology, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit, and he started with just $6,000. He achieved a 100% winning trade rate in 10 months, 31 of 31. Now, this is not beginner's luck. It's the result of following a secure, safe system. Now, Brian is one of those third standard deviations about making a ton of money right off the bat. Doesn't always happen that way, but it does happen. And it's, again, not beginner's luck. It's about following and implementing a good system. Now, to implement that system, you need to start thinking of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income every month, and it allows you to win even when you're wrong. That's what that option trader showed me all those years ago. Now, why do you want to have that shift from being the gambler to being the casino or the house? Well, the house always wins. And number two, the house always wins because they control and they stack a probability in their favor. And that's what the options paycheck system does. We stack odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the first step of this is to shift from being an option buyer to being an option seller. So let's explain a little bit farther. Bruce is another great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino where he's controlling and stacking probability. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. He focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world, he said. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And he said it takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade that you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so what do? You either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why would you buy a call? What's a call option? A call is something you buy when you think a stock or a market will go up. It gives you the right to buy the stock if you want to. That's the most basic options trade you can make. But what ends up happening a lot of times when you buy that call option? Well, maybe the stock doesn't go up at all. It happens. You just picked the wrong stock. What if it doesn't go up enough? This is one of the reasons why I never really liked options back in the day. There was nothing more frustrating than buying an option on something, having the market do exactly what you wanted it to do, and then seeing very lackluster returns or no returns at all. Has it ever happened to you too? Well, what's the problems that's causing you to lose there? We talked about this. Maybe it was the wrong stock. You need to get better at stock selection. Maybe you're in the options world and you picked the wrong strike price or the wrong expiration. Well, let's focus on the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not necessarily your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. To break that cycle, you need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everybody. It's how you can put that probability on your side. It's how you can win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at being an option seller. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction, right? If it goes sideways, you break even. If it goes down, you lose. Now, let's shift from that buyer's mentality into the seller's mentality. Instead of just hoping that the stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Okay? This trade has a 50% chance of staying above 203, the current price. But using options, I can pick a price like 195, and now as long as the stock stays above 195, I can be profitable. This gives me a 60% chance of success. No indicator, no study, no trading system, if you will, just using pure statistics and math. Now, what does that do? Instead of being at 50-50, if the stock goes up, we still profit. But if the stock goes sideways, we still profit. And if the stock goes down a little bit, we still have room to profit on this trade. And if it goes down too much, like any trade, we can just exit with a small proportional loss. Right off the bat, we are stacking probability in your favor. Now, in some instances, we can even increase that probability more by choosing a lower strike price. In this case, you got a $204 stock. I've lowered it down to 190. As long as this stock stays above 190 in the next 7 to 10 days, you will make money. It doesn't have to be 3-4 weeks. In 7 to 10 days, as long as it stays above 190, you will make money on this trade. You can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and this is what I call an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, Bruce, if you remember, he continues to trade with me every week. In fact, he recently posted on our private Facebook group and said, "Hey, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere." That's a great picture of being financially free. It's a great picture. Now, another one of our clients, a little different story, is Mike. He dabbled with options, but said he lost on each one of his trades. Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade? Eventually, he just gave up on the options and said, "You know what? Not right now." He went back to the books a little later, tried to learn all he could about options, but said, "You know what? He had all this option knowledge, but no real set criteria of how to use it. No way to use it, but lots of knowledge." Well, he and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system, becoming an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12 grand in 4 months. Now, again, the key lesson here, the key lesson, they took that shift from being a buyer to being a seller, and they turned that situation around. He was even so proud of his trades, he sent me a spreadsheet of them. Now, take a look. Here's the profits right here. Let me get my laser pointer out here. There we go. Here's my profits, or his profits, I should say. And here's the losses. Look how more profits he has than losses. And then look at the work days to close. Remember I told you about 7 to 10 days? That's what Mike was doing. He was pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days. All right? That's what income looks like. And I showed you earlier our S&P 500. Over 7 years, it's returned about 4.5% on average a month. Okay? The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. Home runs, they look good, but singles are what win the games. Singles are the income of trading. This is what's going to enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things that you want to do. You're never going to have huge gains in one trade. Okay, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have this trade where all of a sudden you make 30%. It doesn't happen that way because you're sacrificing. You're taking probability for smaller gains but we're also going to control those losses, and they're going to be small as well. We're going to hit lots and lots and lots of singles. That's the key of income trading. Now, you've seen simply by flipping that switch from buyer to seller how this odds shift in your favor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stack the odds even further. We like to do what we call layering probability. Probability on probability on probability. We're going to stack the odds further by capitalizing on the three most common buyers, or again, what I call the gambler mistakes. Now, when it comes to the option world, one of the biggest mistakes that buyers do is they buy options with unrealistic strikes. They buy the strike price that's so far away from the stock, it has very little chance of hitting it. This is what I mean. You got a stock. You think it's going to go up, right? So what do? You either buy shares of it or you buy a call option. Now, in a nutshell, what you typically would do is you would buy an option strike near the current stock price. The downside of that is they can be expensive. You might have to put up $1,000 to do that. So what a lot of option buyers do is they say, well, okay, well, I'll just buy a strike price way up here because I can do this for like $50. Well, the problem with that is you're treating this like now a lottery ticket. Most of the time, you're going to lose. And the reason why you're going to lose is this. To make any considerable money, the stock has to go from $216 a share up to $230. If it doesn't go up to $230, you're not really going to make any money. Okay? They're cheap, inexpensive options that suck a lot of buyers in, looking for that one big home run. Well, again, I'm not looking for the home run. I'm looking for the single. And since there's always going to be buyers out there who buy these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them because they have a low probability of winning. We now have a high probability of winning. Now, the same goes for puts. There's people who buy puts way underneath the stock price because they're cheap lottery tickets. Or in some cases, people buy them because, they have a stock that they want to protect. So they buy insurance on their stock. It doesn't matter why they do it. They do it. And since there's going to be buyers down there, they need someone to sell it to them. Because when you sell them those options, it gives you a 60 to 90% probability of success. Now, second mistake that a lot of buyers make is they buy options that have expiration dates that are way too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you see a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it's cheap because the expiration is coming very, very soon. If you don't cook it right away, you just wasted your money. And the same is true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days until expiration. I want you to notice, in the upper left-hand corner, we're 180 days to expiration. And then if you follow that line all the way down, the day of expiration, the option loses all of its time value. Well, something kind of magical happens right about here. If you look from 6 months out to about 45 days out, the option lost about 50% of its time value. Okay? A very slow, methodical drop in value. But in that last 45 days right there, the option loses the remaining 50%. Their decay becomes exponential. Now, what happens is, well, think about that. If an option's losing its value, they become very cheap in this area. And that attracts a lot of buyers, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to flip the script and put all of the probability on our side. We are going to choose options in this window to sell. Now, there is a limit. What we're going to ultimately do is we're going to sell options that expire between 21 and 45 days away. Now, keep in mind, we're not staying in the trades for 21 to 45 days. This is just the sweet spot of where we sell expiration. Our typical trade lasts 7 to 10 days. So we're not letting these things go to expiration or anything. We're just choosing this window because the premium is still juicy enough for us where we can put together a high probability, low risk options trade. And if it's easier to see it on a graph, take a look at this. This is Home Depot from a couple of years ago, and it doesn't really matter what graph I use. I'm just using this as more of a pictorial, right? Let's say you think that Home Depot is going to go up. So what do? You go out there and buy a call, maybe at 45 days, right? Well, the problem is, even if the stock goes up, your option is declining in value because of that exponential time decay. Okay? That time decay is working for the seller, not the buyer. If you bought an option and you're seeing all your premiums start to go away, that's not good for you. But as a seller, this is beautiful. This is how we can make money. And again, the reason why people buy options in this window is because they're inexpensive. They're cheap. They're like the lottery ticket. Okay? Let them be the gambler. Let them do it. You be the casino because you're going to put probability on your side and you're going to win in the end. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is value. The third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much for their options. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. You've got two stocks, both within like 12 cents of each other, 76.24 and 76.36, both around the same price. I'm looking now at options that have the same strike price and the same expiration. Look at the massive difference in premium. Over on the left, it's $910. Over on the right, it's $180. Why is that one on the right, or I should say one on the left, over 4 times more expensive? Same stock price, same strike price, same expiration. 4+ times the value. Well, that option on the left has extremely high volatility. When an option has high volatility, it leads to a very overpriced, expensive premium. Now, what's the big deal, right? Who cares? It's $9, it's $1. It is what it is. The stock's going to go up. It's all going to be good. Not necessarily the case. Watch what happens. Let's project that these stocks move up $8 a share. Think about that. If you would have just went out there and bought the stock, 100 shares of the stock, right? You'd have made $800 on each of these trades. But you like to use options. Instead of putting up, $7,600 to buy 100 shares, you put up $900 to buy the option or $180 to buy the option. Much better leverage, right? Well, that option on the left, you actually lost money. That option was too expensive and couldn't overcome the premium. You lost money. The one on the right, remember, you bought that option for $180. Now you've made $720 on that option. If my math is right, that option went from $180 to $800. I'm sorry, actually, that my math is wrong. To $900. That option increased value 4+ times. How frustrating is that? Both have the same moves. One option has a 400% return and the other one loses. And it all traces back to that volatility. You simply bought an overpriced option that didn't make any money. Now, like the whole theme of this, right? Anything that's bad for the buyer is good for the seller. So what we're going to do is we are going to search out and we are going to find these high volatility options that have all this massive premium. And we are going to be a seller. Because when we sell these overpriced options, we can stack probability even more on our side, which I'll show you later. And it limits our risk. It makes these trades a lot less risky from a financial standpoint. Now, another one of our clients is Bob, and he had one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he was making all the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, he said he came close to living under a bridge. Now, the options paycheck system helped him turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability. He said in 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, if you want to control those returns and results, you have to learn how to stack probability. Now, let me turn it over to you guys. In the chat window, I want you to share with me, have any of you ever made those buyer's mistakes? Any of you made those buyer's mistakes? All right, yep, Mike and Carol, Casey. Yep, exactly. Anybody that's traded options, Naskia, anybody that's traded options has probably done these before. And I've done it too. We've all made these mistakes. Now, listen, it's not your fault. You're simply just taught a broken system. Now, let's keep moving forward. Hopefully, you have the idea that you want to be an option seller at this point. So what I want to do is I want to show you how you can trade with very little risk, because when a lot of people hear the word options, and especially selling options, they immediately think it's very, very risky, right? Everybody's got that horror story. But with the options paycheck system, we use a low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's one of our core strategies that we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Well, remember I talked about a horror story? Here's the horror story that I always hear the most. Ron, I have a friend that did this, or I tried to do this a couple of years ago. And you're right. You're right. I had 21 winners in a row. But then one trade came in and wiped out all my gains. Can that happen to you? Yes, it can happen to you. But sadly and fortunately, it's one of the easiest things in the world to avoid. If you remember from the first couple of minutes that we started talking, I talked to you about my transition to options and my mentor that came out and taught me a little bit about options. I told you that all of these trades have known risk up front. Do you know how you avoid a trade that'll wipe out a bunch of winners? Don't take it. It's as simple as that. When you set up your trades, you are going to know right up front if that trade is one of those trades that can wipe out a bunch of winners. And if it is, you simply don't take it. It's not a good options trade. Because if this happens to you, it makes it very hard to recover losses. It takes a long time to recover. Now, to control that, we have to have a built-in protection plan. This is part of having the right system in place. We're going to take care of risk management right up front before we even actually place the trade. And when you do that, that's going to allow you to preserve and grow your capital. When you can select the right stocks and set up your trade in a way that reduces risk, now you can grow your capital. And like I said, home runs look good, but home runs are one of those types of trades where you lose 9 of your winners. They're not worth it. Now, one of the questions that we get a lot is, can we do this in an IRA? And the answer is yes. A client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. He had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system, and he turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he had an 85% winning trade rate and more than doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day. Now, I just happened to have, by the way, my Fidelity account open because I was looking to see if my trade got filled today. I use a Fidelity, and if you guys take a look at this in the corner, this is my Fidelity IRA account. And in that IRA account, I actually trade my SPX system. Okay. Now, I just recently opened this account. And I'm up, it's an account that's got like $24,000 in it now. I started trading this account in, I think, August. So August, September, October, I think I'm up a couple $1,000 in this account just trading the S&P 500, if I remember correctly. I'm just kind of looking real quick if I can show you guys real quick. Let's see. Trying to see if there's an easy way to show you guys this. Bear with me a second. Sometimes when you do things live, it always, sometimes you run into these little snags. Well, I can't figure it out, but I think I'm up about $4,000 overall in this account, and I've only been trading it for a couple months. And like I said, it's one of my newest accounts that I did in an IRA to kind of show people that I can do it. Plus, I did it in Fidelity because people want Fidelity brokerage accounts. All right, so if I can get back to that after we're done, I'll try to show that to you one more time. But the options paycheck system makes sure that you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. Now, first, we're going to choose stocks that are very low risk, kind of like what you see here, right? If we're bullish, we're going to start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, all right? Already rising in price. Now, instead of then selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how this works, all right? Traditional option selling systems leave you with all this risk. What we're going to do is we're going to shrink our risk down to this. We want to have a very limited risk when we enter into this trade. So this is, again, a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, I think, and it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, you'd go out there and you'd buy the shares, right? Buy 100 shares, 1,000 shares of this stock. Or maybe you're an options trader. You want to go out and buy a call. You would use the stock price to match up to a strike price. But here's what we're going to do. If you think that a stock will go up, you're going to choose a price underneath the stock and you are going to sell a put. Now, when you sell a put, you receive premium. All right? In this case, we get paid $200 per contract. If you sold 10 of them, you'd get paid $2,000. Now, that sounds great, but you have no downside protection. Now, the big misconception here is, well, Ron, I just sold the option, so I collected $2,000. I'm done, right? No, that's not how it works. When you sell an option, it's not like when you go out there and sell a car. You know, I traded my car in last month for a different one. Well, I went to the dealership, I signed the power of attorney, I signed the title to them, and that was it. Then I called my insurance company, canceled my insurance, and I'm done of any obligation to my older car. I'm done. It's over. When you sell an option, you're selling what's called an option contract, and that contract has some obligations. Now, if I sell a put, that put contract says, while I hold the contract, I may have to buy the stock for $135. Now, I've been trading options for over 15 years. I've never actually had to do this. So it's all, I don't want to say it's hypothetical because it's real that you do have the obligation where you might have to buy the stock, but I've never had to actually do it in my 15 plus years of an options trader. Okay? We're going to sell the option, hold it for a specific amount of time and profits, and then we are going to exit and close the position before it expires. Now, if you just sell this put and something dramatic happens, like all of a sudden the stock drops from $135 to $100, there's a very real possibility that you may have to buy the stock for $135. And you just came into that one trade that cost you a bunch of winners. That is unacceptable. Okay? We have no downside protection. So we're going to use a built-in protection plan. What we're going to do is we are going to go a little bit lower than the option that we sold, and we are going to buy a put as insurance. Now, when you sell a put, you have the obligation to possibly buy the stock, in this case at $135. When you buy a put, it gives you the right to sell the stock, in this case at $130. So underneath it all, you could be forced to buy the stock at $135, but now you have the insurance to go and sell it for $130. You've now limited yourself to a $1 or a $5 loss on this trade. Now, that insurance costs you less than the premium you received when you bought or when you sold the original contract. So this trade is going to give you still $100 when you place the trade. You're going to get paid. If you did 10 contracts, you're going to get paid $1,000. Now, while you hold this position, it's going to change value. If the stock goes up, the price of your position will fall. That's a good thing. As a seller, we want the price of our assets to drop. I sold it for $1,000. I can get rid of it later for $300 and I pocket $700. Okay? That's how an option sell works. Now, if disaster happens, we have a limited risk. Now, what this trade ultimately does is this. We think the stock is going to go up. If it goes up, we win. That's the whole point of this, right? But if it goes sideways, that decay that I showed you earlier is going to allow us to make money. And if it goes down, as long as it stays above the price of the option we sold, in this case 135, we still have a chance to make money. Worst case, it drops a little too much and we exit the trade. This is like any other trade that you would make, right? If you bought 100 shares of this stock, you're not just going to leave the stock on forever, right? You're going to have what's called a stop in place. You're not just going to leave it on and let it go to zero. If it drops too far, you would exit your trade. It's the same in the options world. It makes no difference how you trade it. We still are going to exit the trade if it gets below a certain price. Now, what I've done is I've selected a couple trades that I took in the last few months here that I did with my clients, and I show them. I want you to take a look at these trades because they're really indicative of how this works. All right? Now, what we do is we trade in the direction of the market. So if the market is bullish, we trade in the bullish direction on our stocks and our indexes. If the overall market's bearish, we trade bearish. All right? And actually, if you guys remember my little Fidelity account, that's what I was checking in my Fidelity account. On Monday, you can see that on 10/16, I opened a transaction on the S&P 500 right there. I opened a transaction on the S&P 500. Well, guess what? I closed it today and made my money. So I was able to get out of that position and with profits. Just kind of wanted to show that. Now, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at probabilities of at least 60%. So here's an example. This is a trade I took back in June on Pulte Homes. All right. Pulte was in a beautiful uptrend. Can't complain about that, right? Look at that. That's a nice looking bullish market. So let's zoom in a little bit here. Now, here's how this works. Market's bullish. So as I told you on that example, we are going to go underneath the price of the stock and we are going to look at options and their built-in probabilities. So I go to my option chain, and you can do this in Fidelity, you can do this in Thinkorswim or IB or E-Trade, it doesn't matter, they all have this. I go out there and see that if I sell a $75 strike, I have a 56% chance of winning. If I go down here at 73, I have a 73% chance of winning. If I sell something at 70, I have a 91% chance of winning. Now remember, the idea for here this is, we're going to sell an option that's 21 to 45 days away. We're going to hold the position for about 7 to 10 days. If you look at my position I did on Monday, you can see I got out of it today on Thursday. That position was only like 3 days. Okay, right there, 10/16, 10/19. So only held it for like 3 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 16th and 19th? Yeah, 16th was Monday, right? Yeah, okay. For some reason, I'm like, man, that doesn't make any sense, but it does. All right. Now, here's what I want to ask you guys in the chat window. Knowing nothing else, take all of your knowledge if you have options knowledge ahead of you. If I was to approach you and say, hey, do you want a 56% chance of success, a 73, or a 91? What would you pick? What would you pick? Be honest. Be honest. What would you pick? Carol, you were first. 91%. Charles, 91%. Sure, 91% is the key. All right, 91%. Of course everybody would choose that, right? Well, here's the problem. Sometimes probability doesn't work in your favor because this 91% trade may be one of those trades where I can make $1,000. But when I lose, I might lose 10,000. That's no good. If I have 9 winning trades, I make 9 grand. But that one losing trade wipes out 10,000. It kills all of my gains. Yeah, you're 90% right. But who cares? You're still not making any money. It's no good. As you move up, that starts to diminish. We don't want to sell 56% because that's not enough probability. In this particular instance, we're going to choose that 73% because that is the perfect balance of probability and risk reward. So in this trade, I actually sold a $73 put and I simultaneously bought a 70. This is called a bull put spread. Why a bull put spread? Because we're bullish. It's something you do when the market's going to go up. Puts, because we perform it with puts. And then spread, because we're doing two options with a $3 spread between them. A bull put spread. Now, in this particular case, the stock went up just like I hoped it would do. And in 3 days, I made $876. Quick and simple. Now remember, the average trade length is 7 to 10, but you're going to see these quicker trades too. Like I just showed you, I had an S&P trade that I put on Monday, and I got out of the trade. Okay? So sometimes they're really, really quick. Sometimes they're very, very quick. All right. Here's an example of a bearish trade. Same idea, except we flipped the script. This is Target. Target got beat down pretty good this year for a lot of reasons. It was breaking below a previous low, which I really like, and into kind of like new territory. So I want to be bearish. I win if Target stays below the strike prices here. Now again, these probabilities are essentially built in to any option program. All right, any type of option program, you're going to be able to see this. And like, just like this, right? If I went out to, Target in Fidelity, I can say Fidelity, all right, I think that Fidelity, or I think that I'm going to do a 19 option in November. All right, it can give me a probability for where that thing's going to be. That's how it works. All options have probability built into them. So I can do this trade at 64%, 76, or 85. Now, what we want to look for is a minimum of 60% probability. So in this case, we know that 85% is probably not going to work because that's going to be one of those trades where you might make $100 but lose 1,000. It's not going to work. What option would you want to choose here? 85, 76, or 64? All right, first couple of you guys are saying 64%. Nothing wrong with 64%. It gives you a 64% chance of winning. That's great. But because Target was so overpriced, remember how I told you that in a lot of instances we can choose and get more probability on our side? I was able, because the premiums were so high, to choose that 76% option. And that's what I did. We sold a 140 call and then simultaneously bought a 145. So this is what you do when you're bearish. You perform a transaction called a bear call spread. Bearish, because you're bearish. We're using calls now because we're bearish. And then spread, because it's two options that we're performing a transaction on with $5 between them. The bear call spread. And in this case, it took me 7 days, which is normal. Okay. And look at the stock. The stock didn't really even go down very much. But because of that decay in option value, even though the stock really didn't go down very much, I was still able to profit from that position. It was a beautiful thing. Okay. Now, Jim's another one of our clients. And he said that prior to working with us, he was very inconsistent and his results were not very satisfying. He kept thinking that there had to be something else out there that would be better. You ever felt that way? Like there's something out there better, you're missing something? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and would provide more regular income and had a higher probability of success. Well, he learned the system, and after he learned the system, he said he went out and he had 21 winners in a row and a 76% return in about 8 months, with his average trade lasting about 8 days. That's exactly what we would hope to see. Now, that was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? If you could add an income system that gave you an extra 2 or 3% a month in returns, retire a little bit earlier. I know most of you are retired, you told me. Maybe travel more. Help your kids pay off their student loans, right? College is ridiculous. I worry about college. I'm 47 years old. I have 3 kids. My oldest is going to be 7 next month. I'm a late bloomer. Hopefully, Social Security will pay for my kids' college education. But in all seriousness, you know, adding an income system like this really opens you up to a lot more in life. It's a beautiful thing. And again, it all goes back to that mindset shift. You're going to go from the gambler to the casino. The house always wins in the end. Now, what I want to do is I want to put this in a nice little box for you, okay? I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system in as little as 15 minutes a day. And this is one of the most important things that my students ask of me. Ron, how long is this going to take me to do? Because listen, you don't want to have a second job. You'd like to have the income from a second job, but you don't want to be spending 8 hours a day doing this. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I switched to options. After sitting in front of my monitors and day trading for a decade, I decided that I wanted to be a little bit more passive in my trading. I didn't want to have to do that anymore. Okay? So, there's a challenge here, though. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find the right stock, the right strategy, when you get in, what expiration, what price, what you do if it goes against you, all that kind of stuff. And when you think about it, people say, Ron, I can't find trades easily. It's like finding a needle in a haystack that has all this. There's so much information out there, you don't know what to look at. You spend hours researching trades, or you're going from guru to guru, reading, watching CNBC, reading a Financial Times, whatever. You're ultimately trading blind. It's like a mouse going through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. I felt that this morning. I took my daughter to a corn maze. That was enjoyable. It's like, we're going to do the kids one because I'm not going to be stuck in a corn maze for 3 hours with you. No offense, honey. It's stressful. It's disheartening. You don't know where to go. But with the right system, you can identify a good trade and get that reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But you need a system, and not just any system. A straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, and then how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of our options paycheck system, the order they go in. No one else out there teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, top 5 build each other, and then the 6 kind of ties it all together. We start off with market direction. A lot of traders ignore this, and they just go out and start placing trades. We're going to be placing trades that are in accordance with market direction. We're either going to be all bullish or all bearish because that's the way the market's moving. You're narrowing your focus. You're not looking for stocks that are all over the place, right? We have a timing signal built into our system that we use to help us find market direction. Once we find it, we look for our stocks, okay? Our stock selection comes down to 2 main criteria: fundamentals and underlying trend analysis on the stock graph. We're not just going to trade stocks that we know or listening to gurus. We have a really simple scan in our VectorVest that combines fundamentals and trend. It makes stock selection very easy. Then we go to option selection. Now remember, we talked earlier about how important volatility was. Volatility is great. We want to make sure we find these overpriced options. But to continue stacking probability, another thing I like to do is make sure that there's no earnings coming up. Here's an example of earnings just from today, right? Netflix, I don't know what Netflix finished out for the day, but Netflix had a good earnings report, and they're up like $40 today, I think, at one point. I'd have to go look at the graph to see how they finished because I didn't really pay attention to them because I don't have a trade on that. But let's say you were bearish on Netflix, and then all of a sudden the stock moves up $45 because of earnings. That's a serious problem. So we eliminate earnings. We don't take trades when earnings are due. We don't hold trades over earnings. And then we want to make sure our expiration is in that sweet spot so we can get that decay. Then we come out and set up our trade. Setting up the trade comes down to probability. Every strike price of an option has probability attached to it. You can sell an option that has a 50% probability, a 40%, a 60%, a 70%. They all have probabilities. But we have to manage that with the risk reward. Too much probability is too much risk. Not enough probability has very low risk, but no probability of making money. So there's a balance that we got to do. Then we got to learn to manage our trades. You need to know what to do if a trade goes for you or against you. And you don't want to be sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predetermined levels. We have a simple optional adjustment strategy to help you minimize your losses. And then you'll know when to exit your trades properly to take a small loss. And then last but not least, the broker side, the selection side, a tool for speed and efficiency. Now, some brokers are really good with this. Thinkorswim, IB, Fidelity's really good. Schwab, their more active trader platform is really good. Okay, some paid tools are really good. I use VectorVest and I use our tool called Options Pro. It can help me find these trades in seconds. Now, speed's important for a lot of people, like Hugh. Hugh told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked because he didn't have that proper work-life balance. He was spending so much time trading, he wasn't enjoying his retirement. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over 26 grand in 4 months. Now, I want you to do an exercise. Take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of your system where you're good. So for example, if you have a quick way to find stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, put a little star there. But if there's an area where something isn't working or you need a little work, put a frowny face there. So for example, if you don't know how to manage or repair a trade, put a frown there. Don't overthink it. Take about 10 seconds and give yourself a quick star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So let me ask you, I want you in the chat to write in there, what areas do you need to work on? Type in the chat what areas that you found that you have to work on. All right, I see Doug, you mentioned when to sell. Michael, everything, because I've never traded options before. Now, by the way, if you've never traded options before, I like that, all right? Because I can teach you to do it from the ground floor properly. I always use this analogy. I've been golfing for a long time, and I wish that I could forget everything I know about golf and just go right back to the basics. Go work with an instructor and learn how to do it from the ground floor correctly instead of working on getting rid of all my bad mistakes. You know, if you're new at options, you can learn to do this right from the ground floor the correct way. Okay, Brian, exit everything too. Casey's mentioned. So yeah, I mean, this is now a blueprint to what you need to do to get on the road to success. Okay, because once you have check marks all the way down, you're going to be able to get income in less than 15 minutes a day. Now listen, I can't know the exact reason you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping into one wall into the next. It's leaving you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, but then you give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are just killing your portfolio. It's depleting your balance and savings. The money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. At the end of the day, maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today, I showed you the secrets to fixing that. And it's a secret that I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. And now you're one of them. You saw by being an option seller, you can win even if you're wrong. If you do it with the right insurance, you can do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. And the system to get consistent income every month. Now, I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day, so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over that secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to the casino. You're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows that secret. Remember, there's always going to be buyers out there making those same mistakes we talked about. We can't stop them. But what we can do is implement a system that teaches you how to stack probability in your success. The house always wins, just like Brian learned how to do, and Bruce, and Bob, and Jim, and Hugh, and John. Now, if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement this paycheck system in my portfolio right now? Well, you have a couple of choices. Option number one is to do nothing. You can choose to do absolutely nothing and stay exactly where you are right now. And listen, if you already have enough money to retire and you're not worried about running out of money, then you might not need the option paycheck system. But if you'd like to make some extra income every month, that leaves two other options. Number two is you can do it alone. You can try to learn how option trades work, read some books, try to analyze the stocks, hope you pick the right one. And listen, if you're willing to work hard and spend hours in front of your computer, you might be able to pull it off. But option three is simple. Let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you'll have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So ask yourself, which is going to be the easier choice? There's two types of people. The first person is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never takes action or does anything to make it happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. Now, since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet that you're person two, which makes you think that you're the perfect candidate to get started on their first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together. The options paycheck experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never done this before. This is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income. It shows you exactly how to find, set up, and manage your spreads, how to generate income, and how to do it safer and more consistent in any type of market condition. After you go through this experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work along with all the options terms you need. You'll never have that fear of options again. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or bearish trade and when to not to place a trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that give you the best candidates. This is going to free up your time because we use a rules-based approach. You're going to set up income trades that have a probability statistically of 70% or better success rate. And again, even if you've never done this before, you're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing the trade. You're going to know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. You're going to implement a system that allows you to safely and consistently generate income so you can begin to live the lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made each of them so the module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is consistent income. The first 2 modules are what we call the option income foundation. Now, a lot of people go out there and try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base the portfolio on a very weak foundation of knowledge. And we understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've all been there too. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which to ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. In the second module, you're going to start learning what spreads are and how they work. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building your income system around these trades. Now that you got that solid foundation of options, it's time to lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades to generate your options paycheck. Each step along the way is going to stack probability in your favor and reduce the risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or a bearish trade, and even when not to trade. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more in your favor. So your outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best options candidates. This is going to give you, again, the highest probability for profits. You're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar, that big volatility. You're going to make sure that you can make money even if the stock doesn't go in your direction. Now that we're going to continue to stack probability, reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade, you're going to know exactly the combination of strike prices to use, where exactly to sell, where exactly to buy your insurance, how to figure your risk reward. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because you planned them and set them up correctly right from the start. Module 7, now that you got your trade picked out, you're ready to go, you're going to learn to have your plan in place up front so you know when to exit the trade, not only for profits, but to minimize losses. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know how to react, and that's going to allow you to trade stress-free. And then finally, for some of you newer traders, Module 8 is all about the execution. We're going to show you, and we have some examples of different brokers that we use, how to place these trades with your broker properly. It's a muscle memory thing. You're going to have it down pat, no time. Now, just to make sure you know what you're doing, we even include a checklist. This checklist will guide you from start to finish, and so you don't miss any step. When you're first starting out, this is really nice to have because you won't miss anything. And we even have step-by-step instructions for some of our brokers as well. Brokers can be intimidating. I want to make sure that you understand the basics of placing an options trade with certain brokers. I have click-by-click instructions for Thinkorswim. I've got videos for Fidelity, videos for IB, videos for E-Trade, Ally. We've got videos out there that'll help you learn to place these trades. Now, before I talk about cost, I want you to know that we have a 100% money-back guarantee. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you a system of creating income with options, then you can get your money back. There's only one catch. You have to do the course. That's it. You can either watch the recordings that we have, you can come to the live sessions with us, you just have to do the course. That's it. That's the only catch. You got to actually try to work the course. If you don't, can't get your money back. Okay, I have that policy because I only want to attract serious people. And by doing this, I'm going to attract those people who are ready to jump in and really start working. Okay, now remember, this is a system that has over time averaged about 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do it. I got this great email from a client of ours, Joe. He took the course and he said, I want to thank you for teaching the options paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 in that time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 76% over the last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk-reward. Thank you again for teaching this simple but very effective system. You know, if I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for 2,000 bucks, do you think he'd take that? That'd be a pretty good trade, right? Well, I'm going to be making you a good offer here in a second as well. But before I tell you more about it, remember, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Okay, it's not something where you should expect to be a millionaire in 24 hours. It's serious, requires a little bit of effort on your part. So if you can't commit to it, then maybe it's not the right time. It's okay. I want it for serious people who take things seriously and are willing to put in the time to learn this. So if you're ready to do the work and get the results, then the paycheck experience is perfect for you. It's step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but we got some great bonuses for you as well. Your first bonus, this is what we call the Mastery Package. And the Mastery Package includes module-by-module mastery sessions. The way you do the course is all the modules are pre-recorded. You're going to watch them by yourself. We want you to do 2 modules a week through the month of November. Twice a week, we're going to get together and have what's called a module mastery session. You're going to get together with me and my team. We're going to answer any questions you have, walk you through the assignments, just making sure that you're understanding the material. And at the end of the week, we have a weekly wrap-up as well. So you're going to get 3 live sessions a week through the month of November to make sure that you're mastering the course material. You're also going to get a private dedicated email address that you can send directly to me and my team. We're also going to give you access to both the VectorVest and our Options Pro software that you can try for the next 2 months. We start that in November, and you have it through November and a few weeks in December while we're doing the live curriculum. That way you can test drive our stuff. If you don't like our stuff, it's no big deal. You don't have to use our software to do these trades. That's the cool thing about it. Now, remember I told you earlier that the options paycheck program is the best designed implementation program? Well, that's your second month. In the second month in December, we're going to implement this. I'm going to invite you to my weekly live trading sessions that I do with my clients. Okay? You're going to see me place trades in my account using the steps that I showed you in the month of November. We also have 2 live office hour sessions a week to answer questions for you. You're going to get 12 total sessions in the month of December to learn how to implement and place these trades. This is one of the biggest things that people love about the course. They're actually seeing us do it, and you can trade along with me if you'd like to using the same trades I'm taking. It's cool. Now, if you're worried that stock selection, all that might be a little bit hard, well, we have an SPX paycheck system too. This boils everything in the options paycheck experience down to one trade a week on the S&P 500. That's the one I showed you in my Fidelity account. I placed it on Monday, profitable today. Okay? One symbol, one setup, one profit and stop rule, and that's one of the live trading sessions you're going to get in December. This is so easy that my teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time. Now she's in college. But he taught this to his 14-year-old daughter. I remember him doing it. It was great. So, as kind of a recap, you're going to get the complete options paycheck training program, 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything you need. You're going to get the bonus mastery package, the implementation month, the SPX paycheck. Add all that up, it's a value of $54.75. But here's what I've got for you today. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. So if you choose to be one of them, together, we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. We're going to do this. So if you want to have them join me and take me by the hand, help you install this in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, we're going to lower it to $12.95. Now, because you spent the last hour with me, I'm going to do something even more special for you. While we're live, it's probably another 20 minutes or so, we got the price lowered to $9.95. If you sign up while we're live, we end at 6 o'clock. If you sign up while we're live, we can lower it to $9.95. There's also a 3 monthly payment program of $4.95 a piece. Okay? You're going to get the full course. You're going to get 1 year access to all the course materials except for VectorVest and Options Pro. That's only through November and December. Okay? For $9.95. Now, once we finish the live session, we should be done right around 6. It's going to go right back up to $12.95. All you got to go do, go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Okay? Get yourself signed up. Get that $9.95 special price. This is the lowest price you will get this course unless you've taken it before. We also have a refresher rate for those of you that have taken the options paycheck before and would like to retake it. Let us know about that one in the background. Now, I realize $9.95, it's an ask, it's a cost, but how much is it costing you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose out by trying to do this on trial and error? How much profits are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would your life be different if you did it and it actually worked? You know, there's an old expression that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. The second best time is today. Plan it today. You can be up and running in 2024 with a good income system. Don't let this be the day where you look back and say, you know, I should have taken advantage of that, but I didn't. Don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss this opportunity. Finish off 23 in a positive way and get yourself set up for good income going into 24. So again, all you got to do, www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only valid while we're live. If you've never taken the options paycheck course before, this is the lowest possible price. So get out there, get signed up. After the webinar, it increases right back to $12.95. Don't wait or you're going to miss out. Okay? Just go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Now, before I get into the Q&A, I want to answer a couple of quick questions, and one of them is, when are the live sessions? Well, as I told you, this is a live course in November and December. So we actually start our first welcome class October 31st. Okay, that's our welcome session. Now, you'll see through the month of November, all right, this is the live schedule. You don't have to attend these live scheduled classes if you don't want to. Everything that we do is recorded. So I'll record all these for you, post them up on our university site, and you can watch them after the fact. The modules are already out there. If you sign up right now, you can watch all the modules today if you wanted to. But then in November, we're going to go through 2 modules a week with you and then have an open Q&A. We have about 30-40% of our students who never actually even attend the live modules. They just go through the recordings with us. Okay, that's fine. Now, in December, this is when we start implementing. We're going to implement on Mondays at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And again, I record all of that stuff for you. That way, if you miss the class, you can go and watch the recording. We have those posted up within 8 hours usually. And then Wednesdays and Fridays, we have office hours at 4:30 and 12. Now, for those of you that work full time, the Wednesday office hours are really nice because I will show you in those how to place trades at night for the next day. Couple of nuances to it. So we do a lot of that in that Wednesday. And again, if you can't view the class live, it's no big deal. I record it for you and you can watch it at your leisure. So for the next 2 months, we are going to teach you and we're going to be there to implement this system with you. Okay? One of our customers, Greg, sent me this email and it was great. Prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful for and I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you pay to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take this course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. Okay? Missing out. Don't miss out. Now, another question I get a lot is how much options experience do I need? We found from doing and polling our prior attendees, 85% of course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. Okay? Just a few more of our clients that have taken this over the years. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I've profited $7,300 before the course. It was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam, I made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake finally found a method of making money consistently with a high probability of success. Get to www.optionspaycheck.com. Get yourself registered. Take advantage of that $9.95 price. If you want to give us a call at our office, that's fine too. It's 888-658-7638. Give us a call. Get signed up while we have the special promotion. And before we break into our Q&A, I just wanted to add a couple more from some of our more recent students. Neville said, thanks for the wonderful course. Where within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, your desire to teach comes through easily. You've already put a lot through the training manual. Already paid for the tuition with a few 35 Delta SPX trades. By the way, that's the kind of trade I did in my Fidelity account that I showed you. Options Paycheck Experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of options trading. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, get out there, take advantage of that $9.95 special, sign up today. Don't miss this window. Learn in the last 2 months of 23, get yourself ready to be profitable and have a great income system in 24. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to break into our Q&A, and I think, John, I think you're going to assist me today on the Q&A, so I'll wait for you to come on, and then we will get started on our Q&A.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. All right, I'm looking through here. The most frequent question that I'm seeing is actually with regards to the folks that have no options experience. I see quite a few questions here. What is your advice for them?
I think you're going to be fine. Like I said, I've been teaching this course for 8 years. 85% of our prior attendees and our graduates have said that you can be successful with limited to no options knowledge. I redesigned the course a couple of years ago with that in mind. So I believe through the first 2 weeks of the course, we're going to teach you everything that you need to know about being an option seller. I'm not going to teach you all kinds of extraneous information that's not important. Okay, we're going to teach you exactly what you need to know. And that's going to make this a little bit easier for you. I think you're going to have really good success, again, even if you've never done this before. Our clients have told us that, and I am firmly in the belief that you can have success with this.
Excellent, Ron. Would you head over to Paycheck and walk them through entering the order?
Sure.
On the...
All right, so here we go. Here is our order site. Remember, I mentioned optionspaycheck.com. You can see our special price ends in 9 minutes. It ends right at 6 o'clock. So you got about another 9 minutes and 8 seconds. All you got to do, click on the little button there right here that says register today. And then Buy now and save. That's our $9.95 webinar special. And by the way, if you want to look a little bit more into this, there's a lot more testimonials as you scroll down and kind of give you all of the information about the course. So if you wanted more testimonials, there's there too. Just click on register today, buy now and save. And then this is the key. It's going to ask you to put in your information. Now, if you're already a VectorVest subscriber, click this sign in button and use your VectorVest credentials. So if you're already a VectorVest subscriber, make sure you click on sign in and don't do just the name and email and everything. But if you're new, first name, last name, email, and password, hit submit, and that's all you have to do to get yourself signed up.
And Ron, just a reminder to them, when you order, you may not immediately see the course in your platform. Simply log out and then log back in. And speaking of that, Ron, do you want to show them what they'll see when they register and log in?
Sure. You're going to go to you're going to get a link for this once you sign up for the course. It's our university site, and it's not going to look exactly like this, okay? You're not going to see all the courses like I have because I work for VectorVest. But under your courses, you're going to scroll, and you're probably only going to see one or two. You're going to see something called the Options Paycheck Experience, and I have that right here. You're going to have a button, and this is where John said if it doesn't show up right away, you have to log out and log back in if you sign up for it. All you got to do is, my button says continue because I've already done this, but you'll click on Start Course, and that'll take you right to the university site for the Options Paycheck Experience. And give me 1 second here. I'm having a little bit of trouble. Sometimes it gives me a problem with this web browser of getting in there. There we go. That was locked up for some reason. Once you click on Start Course, you're going to see in the upper left-hand corner, all of your resources are already open and available to you right now. You could theoretically go through all 8 modules in the next couple of days. You don't have to. Remember, the formal class doesn't start till October 31st. You're not going to get VectorVest and Options Pro until November 1st, okay? But in the left, one of the things I would recommend you do right away, under the course curriculum checklist, print this out, because this is a nice little note guide, okay? Nice little foundation of how everything works, a little checklist to make sure you've done all of the module steps in each module, but most importantly at the end, you're going to see, at the end a schedule of all of our live events. So this way you have that handy, you know when all the live events are, and then you could just refer to that and not have to worry about anything else. Okay? Now, if you scroll down, you're going to see all of our modules. All of our modules have, I mentioned, the pre-recorded lesson. So you can walk through each of the different steps of the recorded lessons. They usually take about no more than an hour, some a little bit less. And then you'll see that we've got review questions for you, action items that we want you to do. So we don't want you just to look at something. We want you at the end of every module to actually not only learn it, but start doing it as well. We got FAQs, and then underneath it is going to be our mastery session recording. So if I open that up right now, you'll actually see a recording there back from August 2nd. Why? Well, that's the last one that we did with our clients. Now, when we do the one with you on November 1st, we'll overwrite that guy and you'll have your November 1st recording there. But this is actually kind of nice. So if you're going through the modules, you can actually watch the recordings that we did from our prior session before we get to the live ones for you. And it goes through all 8 of our modules. And then also right under the modules, we've got that SPX trading system that you can watch. These are all the videos from the weekly Q&As and office hour recordings. And again, these are all filled right now with the ones from my previous class. Those will get updated with your ones in November and December as we go through. If you want to see the trades that I did with my last paycheck class, live trading sessions, you can look at those. You'll see the dates I did them on. We've got video tutorials for Options Pro. That's part of what you're going to get for November and December. I've got all my broker help videos. And I think the most important part right here is the webinar links. So we're going to email you, I think, 24 hours before every live session with a link to the class. Okay? Now, we deal with this a lot. Ron, I didn't get my link. My link got lost in email, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what we did to prevent that, and just in case, we put all of the links for the live webinars in your university site. If it comes around and it's like October 31st, you're like, I know there's a session tonight, but I don't have a link for it. Yes, you do. It's right here under the live webinar links. It's going to be that way for the entire course going all the way through December. And then last but certainly not least, under resources, this is where you can find all of the slides. So through each module, you can print out the slides. We do it for you in black and white and color, your action item worksheets. And as you continue down into, the farther modules down here, we're going to have other things in there like position sizing worksheets. We're going to have things like the checklist that you learn. But this is your hub, if you will, of how you're going to learn and implement the paycheck over the next 2 months. So again, just get yourself signed up for it. $9.95. I think we got what? Another 2 minutes or so? 3 minutes and 11 seconds to get that special price. Get yourself signed up for it. Don't miss out. Like I said, finish off your year strong and be prepared.
Excellent, Ron. Last question here.
Yep.
Does that mean that they don't have to attend the live sessions in order to benefit from the full course? Meaning, if they're off or they're on vacation, etc.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great question. The answer is that's exactly what it means. We've got everything out there for you recorded. So if you don't have time, or that's a lot of live sessions that you just can't commit to right now, watch the recordings. Like I said, 30 to 40% of our students don't come to the regularly scheduled live events. They just watch the recordings after they're done. And you're going to get a private email to send to our options paycheck team if you have any questions. So we'll be easily able to interact with you and answer your questions, even if you can't do the live. In fact, you can always say, hey Ron, can you answer this question for me in the mastery class? I'll do that, and you'll be able to watch the recording. So yeah, you don't have to do it. It's great. All right. Well, John told me that was pretty much the remaining questions. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank all of you for spending this last 90 minutes with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope I turned you on to something that is new to you and interesting. The idea of being an option seller, the idea of how to put probability in your corner. This has been the way I've traded now for 15 years. I've shared this with thousands and thousands of students, and I've got a lot of successful students. I hope that you're going to be the next one. So sign up, get in there before that bonus ends. I'm looking forward to working with all of you come November and December, and we're going to show you, teach you, and help you implement this system in your portfolio. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great evening, and we'll see you back live in a couple weeks when you start your options paycheck experience. Good night, everybody.